Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Friday Focus. This week we are talking about you and your website and your online presence in general. So as part of this week's Friday Focus, I could think of no one better to talk to than my friend Nicola from Silver Sixpence in Her Shoe. Hi Nicola.
Hello.
I'll introduce Nicola properly in a second and let her tell you a bit about what she does in her very exciting business. But I wanted to sort of talk through briefly about why it's important to have a website and online presence. So whether you sell a physical product or a service like myself, it's massively important to have an online presence. It's how you get found on Google. It's how your customers find you and find out about you and what you do. Even if you have a physical shop, say you're a florist shop, for example, it's so important to have a website now. It's just how the world works, you know. We can't just rely on word of mouth or reputation anymore. For example, in retail, almost 20% of shopping that's done online now in the UK, and that doesn't even include people like myself who offer a service-based product. You know, that's just simple retail online shopping. You know, people who buy a physical product online. 90% of UK shoppers, for example, use Amazon. So that just shows you how deeply ingrained in people's sort of psyche it is to just shop online. I'm going to introduce you to Nicola a little bit more now. Nicola sells her products online via Etsy and Facebook, and probably other online channels. She'll tell you all about it in a second. But she has been looking into a website, so I thought she'd be the absolute ideal person to talk to about this subject. Firstly, Nicola, I'll let you take over now. If you could just tell me and the viewers a little bit about yourself and what you do, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course, no problem. So yeah, like you said, Silver Sixpence in Her Shoe is my brand, and I am an online only brand. I would usually be supplementing that with wedding fairs as well, so a lot of direct stuff would go on with people there as well. So I've been doing it now for 10 years this year.
Wow, that's good going.
I'm quite old hat, really. but in that time, I feel like this is an area that I kind of flit about with a lot. Mostly because I'm good at sewing. I'm not very good at technical stuff, and I kind of hate it as well. So my current situation is that I use Not on the High Street as my main selling platform, and that is, I cannot lie, really good for me. I'm probably a smaller partner on Not on the High Street than a lot of people are, but that's largely down to weddings being a smaller area for them. But I do wedding accessories and gifting. So the gifting side of things particularly sells really well for me on Not on the High Street. And then my headwear sells really well on Etsy for me. So up until September of last year, I did have my own, by my own admission, very beautiful website. It was very beautiful. It was not very user-friendly, and it was not very friendly for me either. And I came to a point where I was about to have to pay for hosting and SSL certificates and so on. And also lots of changes were coming in terms of Stripe Pay, who I used as my integrated payment system on it. I never really understand any of that stuff very much, if I'm honest. And I had a really great agency, and I knew that if I signed up to have a website designed with an agency, that it would cost money. And it was costing me more than I was making from it, because I don't have time to update it. I don't have time to blog, all that stuff that would, I know what I need to do, but to push it up for the sales to come from there. And to be honest with you, I think I probably hit a bit of a point where I sort of went, well, why am I constantly trying to change the fact that so many of my sales come from Not on the High Street? Because they take 25% from me, and it's upsetting. But actually, it's 25% of marketing that I don't spend, because I can Google my wedding horseshoes and they're at the top of Google because they're a unique product on the high street, and they, not all the time, but will push those products where they see fit. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. I've had WordPress prior to that. That was back in the day when I first started, and I understand a lot more now than I did then. But I'm at a point now where my lockdown project, hilariously, my lockdown project, when this all started, and I thought weddings are over, sales are over, which has actually not been the case in the end, is I'm sorting my website. People still want to buy gifts for people who were getting married, and with 2 kids at home to homeschool and a small business to run, I've actually been busier than is in a way manageable for me. So my website, I think I contacted you about it, didn't I? Nothing's happened. I'm not even updating my Etsy shop. So yeah, I'm kind of...
One of the silver linings of this whole situation, I think, with COVID and what have you, sorry for anyone who's watching this in the future once COVID has passed, by the way, but
I'll be like, what was that?
My phone ringing, typical. There we go. I'll have to cut that bit out of the video. So yes, I guess one of the main silver linings of the COVID situation is the fact that online sales have rocketed. It's for a lot of people, it's been the only way that they can shop, you know. So like yourself in the wedding industry, for example, selling your wedding accessories, a lot of people have been buying their accessories and planning their weddings online in general. So yeah, absolutely. So would you say your reasons for selling on things like Etsy and not on the high street, etc., it was more from a sort of a time saving point of view because they do all of the marketing for you, or?
A level. Etsy, probably started my business with an Etsy shop, because 10 years ago Etsy was this kind of small crafts place, and it was still quite a big jumble of stuff, and it was hard to get found on there. But it didn't look professional the way it does now, and I do think it looks a lot more professional to say I use an Etsy shop now than it did then, particularly because you can link it up with your Instagram shop and all that sort of thing. Everything's linked. That's basically what I've got now, and it doesn't actually seem to be harming my sales at the moment. My Etsy sales have gone right up during lockdown. But it's
that's great. So glad you've been earning a living during lockdown.
A little bit. To supplement the lack of help from the government.
Oh, thank goodness for that. But yeah, I think you know, you've got to do what's best for your business, haven't you?
Yeah.
Every business is different. There's not a one size fits all kind of solution to sales. You know, I think for yourself, there's probably pros and cons of having a website versus selling on Etsy, not on the high street, etc. Yes, they do take quite a big cut, but that then saves you time with marketing, and you don't have to do any of the behind the scenes SEO, pushing things on Google and things like that.
My total downfall.
But I think, you know, the sort of downside to it is that it doesn't say a lot about you. You know, if somebody say somebody is Googling some sort of accessory for the wedding, and they find you on your Etsy site, and they come to you, the downside is they can also find lots of other people who do that. Really? Whereas a website is very about you and your brand, and you can have as much information on there and as much of your own branding and sort of aesthetic on there as you can. So yeah, swing.
Can I just tell you about Not on the High Street just quickly?
Yeah, please, yeah.
The thing for me with that is that they're fantastic. And they asked me to join them. It was like 7 years ago when they didn't have so many people clamoring to join them and so on. So I've been with them quite a while and seen a lot of changes there. Mm-hmm. But you're very, you know, you're tied to terms, which is fair enough. They're a business. So when someone says to me, I'd like a bespoke version of that, I'm not even allowed to point them in the direction of, say, my Etsy shop, which in itself doesn't fully show what I can do. Mm-hmm. And what I've realised is with, you know, I would have done probably 3 of Julia's wedding fairs, for example, this year, at least. I did do one in Manchester back in February, and that's the only one I've done this year, and it's not likely to, I don't think there's any happening. So the bespoke side of it, which is something, to be honest, I really enjoy. It's a good source of income for me, and a lot of brides want that for their wedding. They might see something idea that they like, but they want their own version of it, and they want to come and have that experience of that appointment with me, which again I can now start to do again. I've got all my PPE and everything, but I don't have, like you say, the forum on either of those selling platforms to show what I can do. My website showed that beautifully. It just was eating money. That was all.
Well, I think with regards to the money aspect of it, you know, just for those people who are watching this either on YouTube or Facebook, it's the online equivalent of paying a rent in a shop. You know, you will have many costs, whether you run your business online or whether you're a physical high street shop. There's always going to be someone after your money. Then you wouldn't have those sales if it wasn't for the fact that you had that physical shop or that website or whatever the case may be. So I think that's why it's important to kind of have it work for you. I know for me, when I'm designing people's websites, I think what makes me different is that a lot of people, you know, they want something sort of personal, and I sit and I listen to them. I used to be a business analyst before all this at a big bank, and I'm good at listening to people and kind of picking out what they want even before they've actually said it, you know. So I listen to what they want, what they're trying to achieve, and then I sort of form the website around that. And I think that's so important. And I also couple that with a little bit of a like training, so you have those skills to then kind of you know, go away and be able to do it yourself. So yeah, I think it's super important to like have a variety, isn't it, of online presences. Like, yes, absolutely, those things work well for you. But if you had a website, for example, you'd be getting found on Google a lot more. Maybe you could tailor the website to the more bespoke things. You know, you could really push that on your website. And you know, you might get a lot more of that work that you love to do, because it lets you be creative at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Definitely. That's kind of what I'm after with it, really. And I am very time poor. Like, I've got 2 young kids. I only work when they're at school, and then, you know, evenings and weekends I'm usually sewing. But in terms of a bit of concentration time to do anything that's technical, which, like I said, I put it off as well because I hate it and I find it difficult. But I think just back, the website I had was designed, it was quite heavily pregnant with my second, so it must be 7 years ago now. And it was kind of, it wasn't rushed or anything, but it was like I had to get it done before he was born. And like you say, you offer a little bit of training. There was a level of that, but it was only like kind of a few years down the line when I had issues with SEO, and then I started to pay someone to do SEO for me, and he was like, where's all your metadata? There was none. And I'd paid thousands for that site, you know, over the time. And that's scary. I think things have changed with website design now, in that there are people like you and stuff out there who are able to put something together at the start, but it's not a case of I can put it together at the start for you, but I don't want to give you the tools to be able to do it yourself. Whereas businesses like me, that's exactly what we need. Like, you know, we need the help at the start, and we need someone that we can go to for a bit of help, and it needs to be affordable, but it needs to be usable for us as well. I couldn't keep going to them every time I needed some work doing, them saying it's a day rate of this, and fair
it's
enough.
Not, isn't it? Yeah.
No, not at all.
And I think, you know, a very important point to make, you touched on it there, I think people forget businesses are actually, you know, especially small ones like us, that we're real people, you know. We have lives, we have, you know, kids, some have other jobs, and husbands, wives, whatever, you know, we have other things to do. And you know, I think when I train people, I sort of I show them what they need to know, because I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a creative control freak as well. So, you know, having the thought of having someone else take care of either my social media or website or whatever fully is a bit, you know. So I think you need those skills to be able to do it yourself. You know, if you say, for example, wanted to just upload a new product to your website, you know, it wouldn't be cost effective to pay someone for an hour to do that for you. Although I will gladly do that for people, it's just not cost effective.
That's it, exactly. I think sometimes as well, the work that would go into, say I had a whole, I mean, I don't really base my business around collections of products anymore like that. I've kind of worked out what works for me, and I tend to not do this whole new bridal collection every year. It didn't really work for me. It was just kind of a bit stressful. But when I was doing that, and it was like, okay, I need the whole collection uploading, the work that would have to go into me getting all that information together to then give to someone to do it, I felt like, I reckon I could have done this quicker if I just had the skills, or it was just a bit easier. I mean, I think things are a lot easier now with the amount of usable website templates and stuff that are out there. So it's my next job.
I mean, I use Wix for mine, but I also have clients that use Squarespace, WordPress, things like that. So yeah, it is a bit easier, but there's still a skill to it, and I think you still need to know how to do it yourself. I guess the other advantage of having your own website, apart from the fact that it shows you more, is the fact that you know, you can show people what you want them to see. You can push what you want to push, and you can promote that on things like Pinterest. I mean, you can sell directly from Pinterest if you link it up to products on your website, but with your website, for example, you can blog on, say there's some sort of, I don't know, for you, like a latest trend with celestial bridal accessories or something along those lines. You could blog about something like that, and that, not only would that help you get found on Google because you've written a blog about that and you will attract brides and grooms looking for that, but you can also push that on Pinterest. So I don't know if you looked at my Pinterest training on the wedding. So that's something.
Do it yet. I will.
It's worth doing, I think. So yeah, you can push that. So that's another advantage of having a website of your own. But like I say, it's important to sort of have your finger in a lot of pies, as it were, and have a presence in a few places. For example, your gifts, like you say, work well on, was it not on the high street that you sell it? Yeah.
And that's a very easy portal. Like, I think you asked me that before, and I didn't really answer it properly. It is almost a lazy choice for me in some ways, because I certainly want to keep. So, I hope if they watch this, I love selling on there because I do.
But yes, it has its benefits, but yeah,
absolutely, yeah. But because it's a very easy content management system, the photo sizing, all that's a particularly poor area for me. All of that Photoshop malarkey. And that's all very easy on there as well. So I kind of have got so used to that over the years, and I'm a bit like, it's working, don't change it. I think I need to add to it, like you say, with more of that bespoke focus. I run craft workshops as well for hen parties. Obviously, I can't do that at the moment, so I'm selling the kits individually to people, and I can send them out in chunks, and I can send them to individual addresses if they're doing it on Zoom or whatever. And that can all be done Instagram and Etsy and stuff. That's worked well. But, you know, the time will come when people will be getting together for hen parties again, and I haven't got a forum to show that properly, really. So, I definitely need to do something.
Well, I think I'll calculate for you. I think it's, I mean, I could talk about all this afternoon, but I am aware that, you know, you do have other things to be getting on with today. But I think just to sort of conclude, I think with anyone in business, you do get used to doing things a certain way. And when you're confronted with something that's a bit different, it's a bit scary, and you sort of put it off because you're not really sure on how to do it or why it's important or things like that. And but I think if you find the right website builder or the right website sort of training, or then it needn't be that sort of stressful task. So I think it's, find that right person for you, who you get on with, and who's going to do the right thing for you, and it'll all work out, because it is very, very worthwhile doing. So for anyone watching this later on, I do training courses, by the way. So if you get in touch with the Content Quarter, I do, I can do anything from just an hour's training to, I could do perhaps a course on a weekly basis for you. I do things very bespoke to you. So yeah. Well, we'll wrap that up, Nicola. So thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about your business. And we'll pop this on the Facebook for you, and you can share with all of your lovely followers as well. But it's been really lovely talking to you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I hope it's a productive one for you.
Oh, no kids here, so it's going to be really productive.
Brilliant. Okay, well, take care, Nicola, and thanks very much again. Bye.
Bye.